Good morning, evening, afternoon. I'm Alyssa Lowe, Director of Operations for this project. Today we're going to take a focused look at how Hotel Starlak can evolve its talent strategy to meet Whitestone's performance goals without compromising the culture that defines who we are. We're standing at a crossroads. Profitability is lagging, turnover is rising, and the guest experience has slipped. Yet, we're not here to erase our DNA. We're here to evolve it. In the next 10 minutes, I'll walk you through what's working, what's at risk, and a hybrid approach that protects our core while unlocking new operational discipline. Here's what we'll cover. 1. A snapshot of our current people practices. 2. How they align or clash with our culture and structure. 3. What Whitestone offers and what frictions may arise. 4. The major risks of full conversion. And 5. A practical phased recommendation that merges strength with soul. Let's begin with an honest look at our current talent management practices. Starting with hiring and onboarding, we've built a solid reputation for filtering candidates rigorously. Our use of CV screening and even graphology helps ensure we hire people who align with the Starlak spirit. Once they're in, we offer CRM training through a train-the-trainer model that empowers seasoned staff to guide their peers. It's low cost, high impact, and very us. Hands-on, personable, and flexible. But here's where we falter. New employees often find themselves overwhelmed from day one. Take our recent bartender hire, who ended up covering night audit shifts with no training and little context. The orientation that was promised never happened. That's not onboarding. We're unintentionally setting people up to fail. When it comes to performance management, there are bright spots. Carla's weekly one-on-ones keep communication flowing, and our monthly ideas contests spark creativity and quick wins through flash bonuses. These are great cultural practices that show we value initiative and individual contribution. Still, there's no formal evaluation framework, no performance scorecards, no KPIs, and too much reliance on subjective judgment. Feedback depends on who your manager is, not what your actual performance looks like. For some staff, it feels empowering. For others, especially newer or younger employees, it can feel opaque and arbitrary. Lastly, let's talk rewards and recognition. On paper, we offer competitive pay and generous perks, from travel vouchers to fine dining discounts. It's a compelling package. But because these rewards are discretionary and inconsistent, they sometimes come across as favors rather than achievements. That undermines motivation, particularly for younger team members who are craving clarity, fairness, and pathways for growth. In short, our strengths are real, but so are our blind spots. We're rich in culture and care, but poor in systems and predictability, and that gap is starting to hurt us. Now, let's take a step back and look at how our talent practices align, or don't, with our structure and culture. Structurally, Starlak is flat. We've got 6 admin roles, with Carla and Stefan at the top. Decision-making flows through relationships more than reporting lines. There's no layer of middle management, no standard operating procedures. Instead, people rely on each other, on trust, on shared history. That's our system. Culturally, we're what organizational theorists call clan culture. We run on connection, loyalty, and identity. Daily check-ins, spontaneous conversations, a sense that everyone's voice matters. These are baked into how we operate. Staff parties, informal mentoring, even small details like new uniforms that come from hallway chats. These aren't just nice to haves. They're signals that we care and that culture is a core competency. But here's the tension. That high-touch, relationship-driven model works beautifully when the team is small, roles are fluid, and growth is steady. Now, with 50 new rooms and a second restaurant on the horizon, that model is being stretched to the limit. Blurred job boundaries, like a bartender covering the night audit, might have once been seen as teamwork. Now they're causing confusion and burnout. And as we scale, inconsistency becomes not just a hiccup, but a risk. Our occupancy has already slipped from 65% to 55%. That's not just a market issue. It's a sign that our internal culture might not be keeping pace with external demands. So the question becomes, how do we keep the heat of Starlight intact while giving our structure enough spine to grow? Now let's talk Whitestone and the opportunity and the challenge it brings. Whitestone represents a very different way of doing business. Their model is grounded in structure and efficiency, detailed standard operating procedures, time and motion studies, centralized manpower planning, and a pay-for-performance system based on individual KPIs. In theory, this means sharper accountability, leaner payroll, and the kind of operational rigor that attracts investors and drives up profit margins. But for a place like Starlac, this model isn't plug and play. Whitestone's approach is built for predictability, not personality. It's optimized for consistency, not connection. Think of a world where front desk staff are discouraged from chatting in the lobby to speed up check-ins, where job roles are so tightly defined there's no space for spontaneity or warmth. This might make sense in a corporate chain, but for us, our brand is built on family feel, not formality. Guests come back not just for the rooms, but for the people. The stories, the personal touches, the familiar faces who remember how they like their coffee. If we adopt Whitestone's model wholesale, we risk alienating not just our employees, but our customers. The very things that make us special, the intangible human elements, could get buried under metrics and manuals. So the real question isn't whether Whitestone's model is good or bad, it's whether we can adopt it. Take what's useful and leave behind what doesn't fit. If we go all in on Whitestone, we face 3 significant risks, and we need a plan to manage each one. First, there's the risk of a talent exodus. Younger employees might walk away if they're thrown into a rigid onboarding system that feels more like boot camp than a welcome mat. To address this, we need a phased rollout. Start with the leadership team, department heads, where the structure is most needed. Let the frontline staff ease into these changes over time. Second, there's a real risk to our guest experience. Hyper-specialization might make us faster, but it can also strip away those meaningful personal touches that drive 5-star reviews. So let's protect what works. Carla's open door check-ins, for example, can coexist with formal feedback tools. We don't have to trade humanity for efficiency. We can layer them together. Third, and perhaps most dangerously, we face cultural backlash. Long-tenured Starlac employees, many of whom have helped build this place, might see new rules and formal systems as a betrayal of everything we stand for. Our mitigation? Bring them into the process. Make them co-creators, not just recipients. Empower them to become cultural champions, leading the rollout phase instead of resisting it. And implement pulse surveys to sense friction early, before it becomes full-blown resistance. These aren't just tweaks, they're guardrails to keep us from driving our transformation off a cultural cliff. So here's the way forward, a hybrid model that blends Whitestone's precision with Starlac's personality. At the leadership level, we introduce Whitestone's structure, scorecards, SOPs, manpower planning. These tools will help us manage complexity and track performance as we grow. At the service level, we keep the high-touch, flexible spirit that defines the guest experience. Peer mentoring, creative problem-solving, Carla's one-on-ones, these stay, but they get a clear container. Here's our 6-month roadmap. Phase 1, 0 to 2 months. Pilot structured onboarding with new hires in one department, introduce balanced scorecards for heads of department, and start leadership training on the new systems. Phase 2, 2 to 4 months. Expand our SOP library, launch quarterly check-ins with all staff, and implement pulse surveys to track morale. Phase 3, 4 to 6 months. Tie rewards directly to KPIs like guest satisfaction and productivity. Institutionalize Carla's open door policy as a standard across all departments, so it scales but stays personal. How will we know it's working? We'll track 3 North Stars: turnover, higher guest satisfaction, and improved department profitability. This isn't compromise, it's a blueprint. It honors where we've come from while preparing us for what's ahead. Thank you for listening. And here's my reference list for the end of this. Okay, thanks for watching.